The Patriot Chapter 6, Defying the List. Months had passed. The nightmares had become less frequent. The cold darkness that once clung to Yuri's rented home had slowly faded, and for the first time since his death, life almost felt ordinary. Milton returned to school. Carlo laughed again. Neighbors no longer whispered whenever Yuri walked outside. To everyone else, the tragedy was over. But not for Yuri. Every day he opened his phone. Every day another scandal. Another government project with missing billions. Another politician escaping accountability. Another businessman exploiting the poor. Every headline reminded him that justice was painfully slow. He became obsessed. Night after night he searched social media, watched live streams, read comments, and followed political influencers who claimed to expose corruption. He believed he was uncovering the truth. He never stopped to wonder who controlled the information he consumed. The dark force had never told him that lies could wear the same clothes as truth. Algorithms rewarded outrage. Powerful oligarchs owned media companies. Political machinery paid armies of trolls to shape public opinion. By feeding only on what appeared on his screen, Yuri unknowingly allowed strangers to decide who deserved his hatred. Eventually, impatience overcame obedience. "If the list is too slow," he whispered one evening, "I'll make my own." He bought an old notebook. Across the cover, he wrote only 2 words. The list, his own list. Not the list chosen by the darkness, his. The first name belonged to a senator. The senator rarely spoke during sessions. He often voted with the administration. To Yuri, silence meant guilt. What finally convinced him was a controversial impeachment vote. The senator had voted to remove an official Yuri deeply admired, someone he believed could one day save the country. In Yuri's eyes, anyone who stood against that leader had to be corrupt. He never investigated further. He never asked why. He forgot that justice is measured by evidence, not by agreement. He forgot that in a democracy, people are free to choose differently. For the first time, Yuri allowed personal loyalty to replace truth. But another name had already appeared. The true next mark. A retired general. A man respected by soldiers. Decorated. Disciplined. Untouched by corruption allegations. Yuri admired him. The general had spent decades defending the nation. There was only one stain on his soul. Years earlier, while still in active service, he had obeyed powerful politicians. He arrested a former national leader, despite knowing the charges were fabricated. He convinced himself he was merely following orders. Ambition silenced conscience. An innocent man spent his remaining years imprisoned in a foreign land. One moment of weakness. One betrayal of justice. That single decision had earned the general his place on the list. Yet Yuri refused. "I won't judge him. He served the country. There are worse people." He ignored the name. Instead, he activated the shadow. Not against the marked soul, but against the senator he had personally chosen. The moment he spoke the senator's name, the world shattered. A scream erupted inside Yuri's skull. His lungs ignited, as though he were inhaling molten iron. His blood turned to acid. He collapsed onto the floor, coughing streams of blackened blood. Every bone in his body softened, twisted, and cracked before reforming again. His skin peeled away in burning layers. His teeth loosened, fell out one by one, only to grow back through raw flesh. Every strand of hair forced itself from his scalp, like steel needles piercing skin from within. The pain was beyond death. Then came the sound that destroyed him. Milton screamed. Carlo screamed louder. They collapsed beside him. Their bodies convulsed exactly as his did. Whatever punishment Yuri suffered, his sons suffered equally. The curse had bound them together. The father had condemned the children. Yuri crawled across the floor toward them, unable to breathe. "No, please, not them," Milton's eyes pleaded for help. Carlo cried until his voice disappeared. Neither understood why they were dying again. Only Yuri knew. For the first time, the dark force spoke. Its voice came from everywhere. From the walls. From the darkness. From inside his own mind. Justice is not yours to command. Truth does not kneel before loyalty. Preference is not evidence. Mercy for one because you admire him, and condemnation for another because you despise him, is corruption. The pain intensified. Yuri felt every sin he had judged reflected back upon himself. He realized the terrible truth. He had become exactly like the people he wanted to punish. He had allowed bias to replace justice. He had judged based on politics instead of truth. Broken and trembling, Yuri pressed his forehead against the floor. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I won't choose. I won't ignore your list again. Punish me, but spare my sons." Silence followed. Then the agony vanished. The room grew still. Milton and Carlo gasped for air, collapsing into exhausted sleep. Yuri lay motionless, tears streaming down his face. He understood now. The list could never be altered. Not by love. Not by hatred. Not by politics. Not even by him. The retired general would face judgment, not because he was corrupt, but because one deliberate choice had destroyed an innocent life. The senator Yuri had condemned remained untouched. In the weeks that followed, Yuri watched as political propaganda and online smear campaigns continued to vilify the general. Crowds demanded punishment for a man they believed was guilty, while the senator Yuri had despised quietly continued his work, carrying burdens and motives the public could not see. For the first time, Yuri questioned everything he read. The dark force had taught him its harshest lesson, yet truth is often invisible. Popularity is not innocence, and justice belongs only to those who can see beyond appearances.